Hey guys, today we'll be covering a 2022 family film called Cheaper by the Dozen. The movie opens up with a couple, Zoe and Paul, waking up in the morning and trying their best to get their children ready. Turns out that their family is opening up their own breakfast restaurant called Baker's Breakfast. There are an astonishing 9 children in the house, among which 5 of them are above 13 years. Later, when the family arrives at the restaurant, Paul narrates how they ended up with so many children. He reveals that he and Kate hooked up when they were taking part in a drama. Later, they got married and conceived 2 daughters, Harley and Ella. He mentions that after their close friends died in a car accident, they also adopted their son, Haresh. Unfortunately, Kate slowly lost interest in Paul, and finally, they divorced, with Paul taking custody of the children. At last, Paul mentions that although divorced, he and Kate are still on good terms. In fact, she now helps him babysit his younger ones, while the rest of the family runs their restaurant. Paul also reveals that he met Zoe, a mom of 2 children, who had recently divorced a famous football player, Dom, because of his busy athlete lifestyle. The scene then shifts to the past, where Zoe visits the restaurant with her 2 kids, Deja and DJ. After Paul refuses to serve them breakfast and suggests she order lunch instead, Zoe gets angry and mocks him, saying that he should sell breakfast throughout the day. Surprisingly, Paul likes the idea and agrees to try it out. After that, the 2 fall in love, get married, and also have 2 sets of twins, Luca and Luna, and Bronx and Bailey. Zoe, using her knowledge in marketing, changes Paul's diner into an all-day breakfast place by helping him introduce new dishes to his menu. At present, the little kids invite their friends and begin skating around the house. While Kate is busy talking with her friend, the kids organize a race and bet on the winner. Before the race can finish, Paul and the rest of the family return home and spot the little children running away from the house. While they are escaping, one of the children, Bronx, collides with the door and breaks his nose. Worried, Zoe checks on him and takes him to his room. In the next scene, Zoe's ex-husband Dom arrives, bringing personalized headphones for every member of the family. He also brings a pair of expensive Jordans for DJ and makes fun of Paul's financial condition and his tiny feet. Paul gets uncomfortable seeing Dom around and also becomes frustrated after knowing that he is retiring from his football career and planning to stay there with his kids. However, Deja, who is preparing to get a basketball scholarship, adores her father Dom and loves spending time with him. The next day, Deja is playing a basketball game and the entire family can be seen cheering for her. Dom also arrives to cheer for his daughter. Seeing him, Paul quickly gets intimidated and challenges him to a dance battle after the first half of the game. At first, Dom gains the upper hand on Paul, displaying his awesome dance moves. But soon, with the help of his little children, Paul performs their TikTok dance and succeeds in getting a loud cheer from the audience. After the game, a pumped-up Paul announces that he will take the entire family for a dinner outing. However, his excitement quickly fades when he finds out that Deja has already made her dinner plan with Dom. Shortly after Deja and Dom leave, Paul informs Zoe that he has a meeting with an investor the next day about branding his own sauce and selling it throughout the country. Hearing this, Zoe gets excited, and the 2 head back home. In the following scene, Paul wears formals and gets ready for his meeting with the investors, Michelle and Melanie. However, when he reaches the office and waits for his appointment, he notices everyone wearing fancy and branded clothes rather than formal ones. Seeing this, he feels overdressed and hurries back to his car to get changed. After a while, he returns to the meeting dressed in some of his children's fancy clothes. Sadly, when he meets Michelle and Melanie and enters the meeting room, he sees all the officials wearing formals and feels awkward. He quickly apologizes for his appearance and delivers his presentation with the utmost confidence. Luckily, the investors are impressed with his plan, so they hand him a handsome check to expand the production of sauce. He chooses to utilize the funds to relocate the family from Los Angeles to Calabasas, where they can live in a larger home, and each one of the kids can have their own bedroom. Hearing this, Deja becomes upset because she doesn't want to leave her basketball team. The following day, Paul takes the entire family to Calabasas to search for a new house. After checking out some options, they come across a big mansion-like house with a huge backyard, a basketball court, and a lavish kitchen. Paul immediately buys the house, and soon the family moves in. At night, while Paul and Zoe plan to get intimate, the twins enter their room claiming that they are afraid to sleep alone. Following this, Haresh, DJ, and Ella also enter the room, believing it's family movie night. Paul and Zoe's plans for intimacy get ruined, and they end up watching movies with their children. The next day, while Paul and Zoe take their children to the community pool to have some fun, Zoe gets a call from Paul's sister Rachel, informing her that she needs to check into rehab for a while. Paul then calls in an emergency family meeting and informs his kids about bringing his nephew Seth to live with them while Aunt Rachel is out. The kids seem to hate Seth as he has a habit of stealing things, but Paul urges them to welcome him and treat him like family. Shortly after, Paul brings Seth to their new house and tells Haresh that he will be sharing a bedroom with Seth. Haresh agrees and takes Seth to show him his room. The following morning, Paul and Zoe are still in their bedroom believing that the school starts late. Suddenly, Paul gets a call from Kate who informs them that they only have 10 minutes before the school starts. Hearing this, Paul immediately wakes the children up and asks them to get ready. Luckily, they manage to get the kids ready in time and leave for school. Before Deja and Ella leave for their first day of high school, Zoe gifts Deja a car, making her happy. Soon, Deja and Ella arrive at their high school where they are greeted by a handsome boy named Chris. Chris flirts with Deja and mentions that he is really impressed with her basketball skills. Deja simply ignores him and walks away, but despite this, it seems like she likes him. On the other hand, DJ becomes easily accustomed to school, but Haresh gets bullied by some of the boys for being Indian. Meanwhile, Seth can be seen in the distance on a bench, watching this. When Seth returns to the room at night, Haresh notices that he's putting some money in his drawer and believes that he is stealing from the restaurant. The next day, Melanie and Michelle visit Paul's restaurant and inform him that they are really impressed by the sales of his brand of sauce. They also mention that they are planning to invest more money in the business and help it grow throughout the country. They then invite him to visit some venues for his new restaurant outlets and help them finalize the deal. Later, Seth takes out some money from the restaurant's cash register, and Haresh notices him doing so. Soon, Paul arrives and praises Seth for handling the cash register well. He also gives him some money for his work. Because of this, Seth feels sorry for stealing the money and puts it back in the cash register. In the next scene, Paul heads to San Francisco for a business meeting, asking Zoe to look after the kids. Later, Zoe can be seen sitting beside the pool talking with her neighbor, Trisha. While the two mothers are chatting, Anne, a rude and arrogant lady of the neighborhood, arrives and addresses Zoe as a nanny. She also makes some racist comments about Zoe, making her angry. To Anne's surprise, Zoe replies with some clapback, ending the conversation once and for all. The next day, Paul returns home and brings some gifts for each of the family members. He also brings an expensive diamond ring for Zoe, making her emotional and happy at the same time. On the other hand, Seth buys a new pair of Jordans for Haresh as he has noticed him being bullied by classmates for wearing old shoes. Seth also mentions that he will help him fight the bullies and always has his back. The following day, Paul attends another business meeting and informs Zoe that he has to leave again with the investors to continue the hunt for new restaurant venues. Hearing this, Zoe gets angry as Paul has just returned from a trip the day before. In the next scene, Paul leaves to meet his investors and Zoe is all alone at home to look after the kids. Next, Zoe wakes up early in the morning to get the kids ready for their school. She continues to do so for a few days, hoping that Paul will be back home soon. During this time, Haresh fights back against the bullies and gets suspended for a week from the school. Sadly, one day she gets a call from Paul informing her that his stay in San Francisco has been extended for a week. Zoe gets upset and cuts the call short. The scene then shifts to DJ's birthday where everyone seems to be enjoying themselves. Zoe can be seen talking with Trisha while waiting for Paul to arrive. In the meantime, Anne arrives and accuses Seth of the break-ins that have happened recently in the area. Things start to get out of hand at the party, and DJ dresses like a pop punk star to impress a girl from his class, Talia. Moments later, when Zoe enters the house to bring some candles for the birthday cake, Dom arrives with Deja and tells Zoe that she snuck out of the house and spent the night with Chris. Seeing DJ dressed strangely, Dom declares that he wants full custody of Deja and DJ, believing Zoe and Paul are incapable of doing so. In the meantime, Paul arrives home and apologizes to everyone for being late. Soon, Deja reveals to everyone that she has left her school's basketball team and also tells Paul that none of the children are happy in the new house. Paul is devastated hearing this as he is working so hard to provide the children with a better future. After the birthday party, Harley and Ella blame Seth for stealing money from the cash registers at the restaurant, mentioning that Haresh also saw him doing so. Hearing this, Seth quickly defends himself, saying that he placed the money back in the register, but no one believes him. So, he becomes angry and walks out of the house, but not before yelling at Paul for pretending to make him part of the family. In the next scene, a worried Paul heads out to search for Seth. The Bakers, Kate, and Dom also spread out to locate Seth after realizing their mistake. Fortunately, they find him in a motel nearby with his homies and ask him to return home. Once all the family members apologize to him, Seth realizes how much the little kids love him, and he agrees to join the family. Back at home, Paul and Dom talk about their contrasting upbringings, and Dom accepts that being away from his children has caused him to become detached from them and that he has to be more attentive from now on. The next day, after realizing how important his family is to him, Paul visits Michelle and Melanie at their office and terminates his contract with the investors, mentioning that he is going to manage the restaurant and his sauce business independently. The Bakers then return to Los Angeles and purchase a bigger home there. The movie ends with Paul showing the new design of the sauce bottles that has been changed to depict the family, including Seth, at their newly titled Baker's Dozen Breakfast.